Well, Notre Dame fans, if you wanted a fired up and animated Marcus Freeman, you got one here today during his Monday press conference ahead of Notre Dame's game against Arkansas this coming week. Of course, the Fighting Irish just picked up their first win of the 2025 season against Purdue here at Notre Dame Stadium a couple of days ago. But Jack, getting back to Freeman and what he said today and how he said it today, you could tell that with the 1-2 record, with the way that the defense has looked in those 3 games, especially the last couple of weeks, including against the Boilermakers in a victory, Freeman knows that there's a lot at stake here if the Irish defense doesn't play a little bit better. He was asked a lot about the Irish defense today. We'll get into some of that nitty-gritty, but again, kind of takeaways from how he delivered his answers to these questions today I thought was really telling.
I think the really telling line from Freeman was the defensive coaches meeting wasn't comfortable. I didn't want it to be comfortable. I can only imagine what went on in that meeting, because that was a very animated, determined to light a fire under his team, and not just the coaching staff. He made it very clear that it's not just Chris Ash, it's not just the position coaches, it's not just the starters. It is everyone on defense who needs to take this challenge head on. That's kind of what Freeman's message was. Like, the how was animated, fired up, pounding the lectern again. The what was they need to take the challenge head on. He said, like, you can either fight or flight when you're in the situation. If you're a cornerback, you need to fight the guy across from you. Not literally, of course, but you need to challenge the guy across from you. If you're a defensive lineman, you need to challenge the guy across from you. So there's not enough of that going on, and it permeates from the play calling to the play design to the sequencing to just the fundamentals and technique. It's everything that Freeman said Notre Dame needs to change.
At its core, though, he keeps getting back to what you see between the white lines.
Yeah.
He's not using execution anymore. I think that was a 2 weeks ago type of thing for Freeman. It was buy-in today. He wants his players to buy in, and that starts with, like you said, what is being called. So we'll get to that right now. Marcus Freeman was asked straight up, do you have any designs on maybe taking over the play calling, the defensive play calling for Chris Ash? And he said, if I feel like I need to, I will, but right now I do not feel like I need to. He has said over and over and over again today, and this was a 2 weeks ago thing, and this is also a today thing, is he doesn't think this is a play calling issue for the Notre Dame defense. He actually started his opening statement with a couple of things that he feels wrong with the Notre Dame defense, and one was man coverage. He said, we're just not fundamentally playing good man coverage right now. And then he went to the defensive front, and he said, we're not winning up front, and that's a technique thing, so that's a coaching thing. You need to coach the technique, have it absorbed by the players, and then you see it on Saturdays. And then he did say, yes, the buzzword for fans a couple of weeks ago was, or the buzz term, the zone coverage. And he said, yeah, we're not very assertive. I think he used fast, violent, those types of things, like getting to where Notre Dame needs to be in that zone. I think he actually said that it's a leaky zone right now. There are holes in that zone defense. So when you're not winning in man and you're not getting to the quarterback via the defensive front and your zone is leaky, then you have problems all over. And to his point, to his credit, that's probably more of just a scheme and play calling issue. Coaching in general. And Freeman made a good point about the zone coverage in that, like, there are holes in any zone. That's how zone works. Yeah. You can't cover all that.
The thing that covers up the zone is instincts and playing fast and getting to the right spots and covering players, not grass. Notre Dame's just not doing enough of that right now. Again, he mentioned the technique in man coverage, the technique in pass rush. Mm-hmm. It's just everything. And, like, yeah, that's not a play calling issue, but it is a coaching issue. So, right?
You're 100% right. But I'm curious. I mean, you played some high school football. Like, at what point is Notre Dame not coaching this correctly? Because, like, we never even had to ask that in 2023 and 2024. How are you in late September, 3 games into this, and you're just now realizing after spring ball, after summer workouts, and after fall camp, oh, maybe we're not coaching it, and that's why they're not playing it correctly on Saturdays? It's a little mind-numbing, is it not?
A little bit. I mean, it certainly seems like, and Freeman actually used this phrase, it starts at the top. Mm-hmm. That starts with him, it starts with Chris Ash, it starts with the position coaches, it's everyone. And again, he said the defensive coaches meeting was not comfortable. Like, he's getting on these guys, and we can certainly tell based on the way his mannerisms during the press conference. And I think we should kind of transition this now to Arkansas, because Freeman has a ton of respect for what they do offensively, specifically the quarterback, Taylon Green.
Yeah, Taylon Green is not Marcel Reed. They're not the same player. Taylon Green is much bigger than Marcel Reed. I think Texas A&M's thing is keep Marcel Reed healthy, because if he's not, that's an issue. Taylon Green is huge with a huge arm, and he can use his legs and beat you that way. If you look at his rushing statistics right now, if you're a Notre Dame fan, I think that worries you and scares you. And Marcus Freeman talked about that today. He said, it's not really... Look, Taylor Green is not Johnny Manziel. Let's put it this way. He's not going to take off to the sideline and you have to chase him over there. And then the next thing you know, he's going to be at the other sideline running that way. Taylor Green's going to be able to step up. And Marcus Freeman said specifically, like through a B gap or through a gap in the offensive line. And then you have your hands full because he can get to the sideline that way, or he can keep running straight and run through you and run a whole lot of different directions that way. So it's absolutely the legs, but it's the arm as well. I think we need to hit on that. Like this guy, kind of like Marcel Reed, more so in this way. If you make him pass first, he will, because he can be accurate and he can throw the ball down the field and make all the throws. So, he's a very good quarterback, and Notre Dame is going to have to account for that on Saturday.
Taylor Green's been tremendous as a passer this season. There was one throw that he hit. It wasn't caught. The receiver failed to tuck the ball away, and the defense back got his hand on it. But it was one of the most perfect, dropped in the bucket from opposite hash to the corner of the end zone, 35 yards on the play, probably 50 through the air. It was incredible. He's really dotting up opposing defenses right now. Arkansas doesn't just have one receiver who can beat you. Omega Blake is their number one, but they have a bunch of guys who can hurt you through the air. I asked Freeman what the defense needs to do better against Taylor Green because he's not the same player as Marcel Reed,
right,
but he's kind of the same in that if you let him run, he can hurt you, but if you let him stand in the pocket and you don't pressure him, he can also hurt you. He said that against Texas A&M, they let Marcel Reed step up and escape, not even escape, but step up through the A gap, the B gap, and find receivers that way. And they weren't aggressive enough in actually getting to him. Whereas against Purdue, he said they kind of overcorrected and the defensive ends were getting too far upfield.
Right.
And then Purdue's quarterback could again step up through that C gap and escape and find open receivers that way. He said he doesn't want to spy Taylor Green. He doesn't feel like they should need to use an extra.
That's an interesting comment.
He said he doesn't feel like they should want to use that extra defender to spy him, but he said that they need to take a bit more of an aggressive approach against Taylor Green.
A couple things there is because he can make the throws that you're saying. So if you dedicate one player to sitting in the middle of the field and saying, hey, you're not going to run on us, he will throw on you, because that is Notre Dame's biggest weakness with the defense right now is they are getting a lot of yards put on them through the air, and Taylor Green will happily do that. But then, on the flip side of that, it's he's not the same player as Marcel Reed in the sense that I think Notre Dame thought that Marcel Reed was going to want to take off before sitting back there and passing. Taylor Green is very happy with sitting back there and passing. So
he's been very good at that this season.
So and I guess that's where we'll kind of end this. There was a question that I asked that kind of fits along with this. Is
good transition. We could just talk about the offense a little bit.
Yeah, sure. That's where I was kind of getting to. Was Notre Dame might have a situation on its hands here where they have to outscore opponents to win, and this is a prime example of one of those games. Purdue. Not really, but Purdue still scored 30 points. Texas A&M scored 41 points. So until the defense is figured out, Jack, Notre Dame has to basically every single time it's on offense go out there and say, hey, we need to put points on the board to stay ahead of this thing, because we saw against Miami, tough to come back. And then obviously extra point, whatever, against A&M, but they weren't able to come back in that game. Kind of ran out of time in that game. So, with the offense, I feel like Marcus Freeman believes, and he kind of said this, that Notre Dame has a unit that when it goes out there, they believe that, hey, we're probably going to score here, and we're going to set up the game flow in a way that's advantageous to us because we're able to go out there and score so many points.
Yeah, I think Marcus Freeman's really confident in the offense right now, and it starts up front. I asked him about the offensive line, and you asked a question about Anthony Knapp. He said he's as confident in those five guys as he's ever been as a head coach at Notre Dame. He thinks that offensive line is playing really well. Said they improved in pass protection from game 1 to game 2. They did really, really well in run blocking, getting hat on a hat from game 2 to game 3. Freeman also shouted out, by the way, the wide receivers. He mentioned the specific play. I actually wrote about this exact play after the game. It was on Jeremiah Love's 46-yard touchdown run. Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison both made great blocks that helped Love spring free. And I think that's been a theme the past 2 games, is that the receivers are blocking really well. Faison, Will Pauling, Greathouse, Malachi Fields, all 4 of those guys are blocking really well. And that's the identity of this offense, right?
Yes, exactly. There's a physicality and an assertion and a decisiveness on offense that, like, hey, I'm going to go put my hat on this guy and we're going to get yards because of that, or, I'm going to block this guy up and we're going to spring Jeremiah or Jadarian free because of that. You're not getting that with the defense. This is a completely different side of the ball, obviously, and different assignments and things you have to do. But to your point, Jack, Notre Dame knows what it's doing offensively at the receiver spot. I've seen the tight ends. I saw Eli Raridan pancake a guy in this game. Ty Washington had a really good block in the Texas A&M game on a crucial conversion. So offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers, and obviously the quarterback and the running backs, I think, have been phenomenal in what they're asked to do. It's a unit that's firing on all cylinders, if you want to use that cliche.
And it's going to need to against this Arkansas team because, like I said, Notre Dame can't survive a slow offensive start in this game. They got to be on their A game from the jump.
It should be an interesting one. I'm very excited to see this early turning point in Notre Dame's season.
It's one of 3 early turning points so far. But
there have been turning points, but it's like you win this game, it's a reset. You're 2-2. You're coming home for 2 games, and maybe you have a winning record at your next bye week, or you're 1-3. You cannot have a winning record at your next bye week because the best you could be is 3-3,
and you're out of college football playoff.
You're out of the college football playoff conversation. It's they're all must wins for Notre Dame, but like the circumstances, who they're playing, opponent, where they're playing, it's a big time game this weekend.
Absolutely.
Jack Sobel will be there to cover it. I might be there to cover it. That's a whole saga. But either way, blueandgold.com will have boots on the ground in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we will have videos on this YouTube channel between now and then, and obviously a bunch of written content at blueandgold.com for you guys to read in advance of the game. So until then, Jack Sobel, Tyler Horka, blueandgold.com, Blue and Gold Illustrated.